Holy guacamole, this is a long match, and it took a long time to do this. He went for a yawn, I go in for the stock relax just to get things going. He sets up his rocks, I go for an iron head because I'm not worried. I have sleep talk, so I can take a sleep, no problem. I don't want any of my Pokemon getting set to sleep. I send in Tangela. He goes for a U-turn, switches out, no biggie. He goes into his Roselia. I switch out because I don't want to take a Sludge Bomb. I send in Munchlax because it can take anything that can dish out. Seeing as spikes are being set up, I just sent in a Kadabra. I want to get this thing done with. Since back in the Uxie, the Psyshock, it does pretty much nothing to it. So I go for a Shadow Ball, does a really huge amount of damage, takes my Kadabra pretty low on health. I'm worried about this, so I know it's going to kill me if I stay in, so I go back into Tangela, because again, I can take anything that it wants to dish out. Goes for a knockoff, takes off my Volite. I can still take it. This is a max special attack Tangela, so I just went for a knockoff, took off the EV Light of that thing, so it's a lot less bulky. I switch out, get my regenerate, bring back in Munchlax, because again, I'm not worried about what it's going to do. Does the Sludge Bomb, does almost nothing. Again, Giga Drain, no worries. I go for a Body Slam, nearly take it out. It goes for a Rest. I didn't realize it was Run Rest, but I forgot it had Natural Cure, so it's just going to switch out. I go for Rest as well, heal up, and it switches, brings in its Grand Bull. I'm worried about this because it can punch a lot of holes through my team. I go for a Sleep Talk, get a Body Slam. It's negligible damage, so I switch out. I go into Matang because I know it can take Play Rough. It misses, fortunately, but I don't think it would have done that much damage anyways. So it goes back into its Perugly. I'm hoping for an Iron Head Sleep Talk, and I get it. Does a huge amount of damage to it. It goes for a knockoff. Does a ton of damage. I'm still sleeping. I underestimate my sleep talk. I thought I was going to wake up the next turn, but it was a mistake on my part. I wake up. I go for an Iron Head. It does nothing to it. I know it's an Assault Vest now. Takes me off the T-Bolt. I'm not too worried. I go into Kadabra. I have the Psyshock. Does a ton of damage. It doesn't quite take it out, and he takes out my Kadabra. So I bring in my Girder to take out him. He goes for a T-Bolt. Does a lot of damage. Go for a Drain Punch. I get some health back, but it's rather kind of pointless. So he goes for a Sludge Bomb, takes me out. So now I'm down to my last three Pokemon. He still got five, so it's kind of got me worried. And I go into Munchlax. He goes into Kangaskhan. This is where I'm starting to get worried. I decide to go for a Sleep Talk. I get a Rest. I'm getting no favors here. He does a Power Punch, gets a lot of attack. When he gets one stage of attack, I get another Body Slam off. I'm just going to turn him into Death Fodder because I don't see him being very helpful in the match. And here comes the champ of the show, Dusclops. He took out everyone. So he goes for a turn. He does a lot of damage there. And he goes for a power punch. Does nothing for damage wise. I get a rest off. Back up to full. I'm just going to try to let Burn take him out. And now he's barely doing any damage. He's only doing around a quarter. My Sleep Talk does nothing. I'm not too worried. It goes for another power up punch, trying to really stack his attack. And this is where he goes for a return. Does a lot of damage, but it really doesn't matter much. I go for a rest because I know I'm going to take him out this turn. And he takes out his Kangaskhan, which really wasn't too much of a threat at this point. And I switch out because I know he's going to go for the knockoff. And I don't want to take that knockoff. He gets a crit, though. And I think that would have mattered. I may have been able to live that. He gets his return. So I have to take another round of hazards, and this sucks because he's going to go for a knockoff. He takes out my Volite. I go for a Sleep Talk, hoping for something. I get a Will-O-Wisp, and I'll take it because it means he's going to lose his Perugly. And so that's two Pokemon down. He's got his Roselia. And this is where things get really, really long because it was pretty much a PP stall now at this point. I get a Sleep Talk, Nightshade. Does some damage. Goes for another Giga Drain. And I just wake up in time to get a rest off and heal up. And I think this is where I start skipping turns because it's just Sludge Bomb and me doing rests and Sleep Talk and stuff, and it's just so long. And I think this goes for about 60 or 70 turns before he switches out. I'm just trying to wear him down. It's pretty much just nothing but wearing him down with Nightshade, him going to sleep. And now I'm starting to get concerned though because my PP's running pretty low at this point. And it's just back and forth, back and forth. He goes in his Uxie. I take it out with a Will-O-Wisp. It's done. So now he has his Grand Bull and his Roselia left, and this is where things were scary. So he goes for a Thunder Wave, paralyzes me. I'm not too worried. I wanted to get that Will-O-Wisp off, so it dropped his attack in half because it will counter somewhat that I lost my Volite. His play roughs aren't doing much. I get paralyzed. That works for me because in this case it was a PP Stall War. And he has a Heal Bell, which kind of worried me. So all I have is left is my Dusclops, and he has Payback, and it does a nice chunk of damage. I mean, not as much as the other attacks were previously, but since I don't have much in terms of recovery and defense, I have to be able to damage him. And I took a risk here. He got a crit, which scared me, and I got a rest off. Sorry, it wasn't this turn I took the risk, but I just barely lived that. He's still getting his health back, and it's kind of got me worried because I'm not going to be able to take this thing down. I get a Sleep Talk Nightshade, which is good. Slowly wearing him down because he doesn't have a form of recovery. He just has leftovers. And I get another Nightshade in a row, which is fortunate. He goes for a play rough, does a ton of damage. I go for another Nightshade. And then I took a major risk here. I went for the Will-O-Wisp, and I do get the burn. And the reason why is because I know he's going to have to go for that Heal Bell in order to live this. He goes for the Heal Bell, and I take my chance. I go for a Nightshade. I was getting low on PP, so I had to risk it. And so now it's just down to my Dusclops and his Roselia. And again, this is another PP stall. Just burning turns. And I was getting really worried because my PP was just dropping every single turn. And because I had to have one Pokemon last 5 in terms of PP. And I didn't try attacking. When I fell asleep, I just didn't even use Sleep Talk because I wanted to save all the PP I had in order to just stall him out and have him struggle. And so when I go for the rest, I just keep hitting nothing. Notice I didn't do Sleep Talk there. That was on purpose. I did have some Sleep Talks, at least a few left over. And so now he's at the point where he's struggling. And I know I got the match now because I have 4 rests, and that is the game.